Sometime later on in this program, we're going to be telling you about the Limbe Festival of Arts and Culture, which is in full gear. It started on the 8th of April, and it's going on, and it will end on Saturday. You still have a few days to run to Limbe and get an idea of what culture means, because this is a place where all cultures are meeting, not only from Cameroon, but from different countries like Togo, Benin, Nigeria, just to name these. But right now, we've been wondering, do you use emergency numbers often? We have the 117 for the police in case, the 117 and the 1500 for the police. We also have the 118 for the firefighters brigade. We have a number of others. Do you use them, and what is your experience with them? We thought our focus could be on that today, and Gwendolyn Egbe put together this report.
Going through the journey of life, we might think life is easy with our eyes closed. Sooner than later, you will realize ignorance in basic knowledge can be catastrophic. Take, for instance, emergency numbers. Many Cameroonians have no idea of what numbers to call in case of an emergency. Nonetheless, those who know them make use of them, though uncivilly sometimes.
Generally, we are between 200 and 400 calls in a day.
In a day?
In a day.
For fires?
For fires and other emergencies like road accidents and so on. Okay. Like people who are falling into wells and things that we have to go rescue and things like that. There are about 400 calls a day. But generally, out here, let's say in the nation's capital, we have about 12 to 15 outings a day, that is to say. So the rest of the calls, they are either fake calls or people who call us to disturb us or just to insult, as usual. You'll notice that the person who works, or the people who work down there at the emergency call reception center, down there, generally they are very, very stressed and they are very tensed, you know, because of those, most of those calls you don't know really if it is true. You know, you might find people who are arguing somewhere. They say, we're going to see how long the fire department is going to take to get here, and then they make an emergency call and to see, all right, then when they call, they start, you know, checking the time.
It's heartbreaking to imagine some of us use these numbers to play pranks.
It's our duty to respond to every emergency call. The essential thing is that whenever a call comes in, then the person who receives the call, you know, would of course ask the caller their ID, their location, and their telephone number, and then they will call them back, you know, to be sure that this number exists and that it is a genuine issue. Sometimes we might get about 10, 20 calls for the same incident, you know, so when we get many calls for the same incident, then it's obvious. But when we just get one call, you know, of someone saying, okay, fine, there is a fire here, then we have to cross-check. Sometimes we get the calls from the National Gendarmerie or from the police service or just from one of our seniors. You know, we have our general who is always available to those things.
We can't count. Children as well as adults disturb. They really disturb. The number of fake calls are more than the real ones. When the call is for real, it is obvious. Many people call for the same incident, while when it is a fake call, just one person calls.
We do know them as the Fire Battalion, but they are the Fire and Rescue Battalion, meaning you can call them in case of any accident, car, plane, boat, name them, even when someone has a heart attack or crisis.
Of course, sometimes people would say we always come late, but we cannot be there at the time when it's happening. Exactly. For example, we are right here in Mimboman, We are 15 kilometers away from Mendong, 50 kilometers of traffic jams and all of that. So if you take your own vehicle and drive from here to Mendong, how long are you going to take? People don't know that we are in a hurry.
Okay.
Yeah. So we drive, for example, we're on the road, and then there's someone in his vehicle or in her vehicle which is closed tight, you know, they cannot hear the emergency siren of our vehicle coming in. There's those situations that are very traumatizing, very, very traumatizing. You know, there are accidents. I happened to work on that aircraft accident in 2007 that happened in Bangra Pongo in Douala. You know, and when I got there, I looked around that night. After we found the aircraft, I decided to do some reconnaissance and things. So we went around the place. I was with this guy at that time was a staff sergeant, Sakeng, that's his name. So we went around under the supervision of General Salih Mohammadou. So we went around, looked at the place. Then when I came back, the general said, Ekoso, est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un de vivant? That is to say, is there anybody alive? I said, no, there is no movement. He said, all right, you will do your duty as you have to do it.
At least you now know how traumatizing it is to be a lifesaver. They battle with nightmares even when awake. That notwithstanding, they do have some unforgettable moments that warms their hearts.
It was a Saturday night that there was a road accident, you know, between Yaoundé and between Douala and Edea. So we took off. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and then we got there. We found this truck that was lying on the side but in the bush. We found the other truck on the other side of the road, and we found this personal vehicle that had been overturned somehow. So the other occupants had died, but there was one person, the driver of the driver of the truck that was lying in the bush, who was like screaming that, you guys, please come save me. So I got there, and he said, I remember he said, make sure that you save me because I will never forget you guys. Wow. You know, so we walked there in the bush there for about 1 hour. We succeeded in raising that truck. We got him out alive. That night was, you know, we were so happy. And he himself, you know, when the ambulance took him, you know, when they put him in the ambulance and all the doctors, he turned around and said, I want to see that captain who, yes, that guy who took me out of this place.
They are at our beck and call, but we should help them carry out their job and well, too. There you go. Don't hesitate to call anytime and everywhere when in need. For the police, dial 117, that's 117. Ambulance 119, that's 119. And Fire and Rescue Battalion 118, 118. It's free of charge.
It's indeed free of charge, and please don't call if you are not having an emergency. It's called emergency numbers, and one of the reasons why they have problems reaching people who are in need is because there are a lot of funny calls in between. Now, what does the man on the street think?